It is the physical record of a city forced to rise when there was nowhere else to go. But that skyline was never an aesthetic ambition. It was an answer. Built across a series of islands, most notably Manhattan, New York has always existed within strict geographical limits. Water defines its edges, land is finite. Expansion outward was never a realistic option. As the city's population surged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, pressure intensified. Housing, commerce, and infrastructure demanded space that simply did not exist. It found the conditions it needed to thrive. It was the moment the skyscraper became possible. Two innovations changed everything: steel frame construction and the elevator. Together, they allowed buildings to grow taller without becoming heavier or unstable, transforming height from a risk into a reliable solution. The first true demonstration of this potential appeared in Chicago with the home insurance building. It proved that vertical construction could be safe, efficient, and economically viable. But it was New York that fully embraced the skyscraper. Where Chicago experimented, New York committed. Geographical pressure, economic intensity, and relentless demand turned vertical building from an option into a necessity. It was the most rational one. Economics made them unavoidable. By the late 19th century, Manhattan had become one of the most valuable pieces of land in the world. As land prices rose, horizontal growth lost its logic. Every square meter had to perform. Height offered a simple solution. The land cost remained fixed, while each additional floor multiplied potential return. Buildings became financial structures, where vertical expansion directly translated into profit. Competition intensified this logic. Vertical growth did not happen in isolation. It reshaped the city itself. As buildings grew taller, New York was forced to confront the consequences of unchecked height. Streets darkened, air circulation diminished. Entire neighborhoods were cast into permanent shadow. What had once been an economic solution began to create urban imbalance. The city responded not by stopping vertical growth, but by regulating it. In 1916, New York introduced its first comprehensive zoning law. Rather than limiting height outright, the law shaped how buildings rose. Towers were required to step back as they climbed higher, allowing light and air to reach the streets below. This gave birth to the distinctive tiered skyline that would come to define the city. Infrastructure evolved alongside these regulations. Elevated railways, subways, and bridges expanded the city's functional reach, allowing people and commerce to move vertically and horizontally with increasing efficiency. The underground became as critical to New York's growth as the skyline above it. Urban planning in New York was never about achieving visual harmony. It was about managing pressure. Every new system, from transit networks to zoning codes, was designed to absorb density rather than eliminate it. The city did not seek balance through limitation, but through adaptation. In New York, planning was reactive, not idealistic. Infrastructure existed to support growth that could no longer be stopped. The result was a city engineered to sustain intensity, vertically, economically, and socially. It became part of how the city functioned and how its inhabitants adapted. It reshaped how the city was experienced. Living above the street altered New York's relationship with space and density. Height offered distance from congestion, noise, and constant motion. Elevation began to carry meaning, quietly redefining ideas of comfort, status, and separation. As vertical living became normalized, intensity followed it upward. Work, life, and movement stacked into shared structures. The street became a passage rather than a destination, while buildings absorbed functions once spread across the city. In New York, density was not resolved. It will refine it. Growth will continue upward, but with greater awareness of consequence and responsibility. And as the city moves forward, its skyline will continue to change, not as a rejection of its past, but as a continuation of the same logic that forced it to rise in the first place. Today, the city faces new pressures. Climate change, sustainability, and livability now stand alongside density and economics. The question is no longer how high buildings can rise, but how responsibly they can exist. Modern vertical development is defined less by height and more by performance. Energy efficiency, structural resilience, and environmental impact have become central concerns. Skyscrapers are increasingly designed to consume less, adapt more, and integrate with the systems around them. The relationship between the skyline and daily life is also shifting. Mixed-use towers blur the boundaries between work, living, and public space. It is a record of constraint turned into structure, but by necessity. What shaped this city was not a desire to reach higher, but a refusal to retreat outward. Geography imposed limits. Technology opened possibilities. Economics applied pressure. Planning attempted control. And culture adapted to the result.